Stars glitter over a primordial earth, the only witnesses to a silent betrayal unfolding in the dark. Upon the summit of Mount Hermon, 200 heavenly watchers convene. These are the sons of God angels entrusted to observe humanity. Yet now a forbidden desire draws them. They have gazed too long at the daughters of men and found them beautiful. Their leader, Semyaza, raises a hand to quiet the murmuring host. He fears some might shrink from this transgression at the last moment. "Swear with me," he urges, voice taut. And so, one by one, each watcher swears an oath, binding themselves together in guilt and fate. Under starlight, the pact is sealed. Mount Hermon becomes an altar of defiance, its name forever tied to this fall. The watchers descend from the sky like falling stars. They shed their heavenly estate to walk among mortals in the flesh. Each chooses a wife from the daughters of men. Soon, these women bear children that are anything but ordinary. They are giants. The Nephilim colossal, strong, and ravenous. They stride across the land, consuming all in their path. No harvest can satisfy them, nor any flock. Their appetites grow depraved. They devour livestock, then humans, and even turn on one another in cannibal frenzy. The earth groans under their violence. Blood waters the fields and villages lie in ruins. The cries of humankind, oppressed and terrified, rise up to the heavens. The watchers not only lust, they also enlighten and corrupt. They teach humanity forbidden arts and knowledge reserved for heaven. Azazel shows men how to forge swords and shields, and how to craft armor, making war and killing easier. He teaches women the art of adornment, cosmetics and jewelry, stirring vanity and lust. Other watchers introduce sorcery and divination, the cutting of roots and the charting of stars, secrets mortals were never meant to know. With these dark gifts, humans multiply their sins. Violence, witchcraft, and depravity spread like plague. What was once a young world of promise is now overrun by horrors and vices that defy imagination. From his throne above, the Most High beholds this corruption and hears the lament of the earth. Mankind is drowning in sin and blood, pushed to the brink by the very angels appointed to guard them. In response, God dispatches his archangels to execute swift justice. Uriel is sent to Noah, the one righteous man of that generation, to warn him of a coming flood and urge him to prepare an ark so life may endure. Raphael is commanded to seize Azazel. He binds the rebel hand and foot and casts him into a lightless pit in the desert, a prison of rock and darkness where Azazel will await final judgment. Gabriel is sent to deal with the giants. He whispers enmity among the Nephilim, stirring them into a great civil war. The giants turn on each other. Their titanic clashes shake the earth until all lie dead by their brothers' swords. Michael, captain of the heavenly hosts, is tasked to round up Semyaza and the rest of the watchers. He hunts them down and, with chains forged by divine fire, locks them in the clefts of the earth. There the fallen watchers are condemned to languish in cold and gloom for 70 generations, until the day of final judgment, when they will be thrown into the eternal fire and oblivion. Amid this turmoil stands Enoch, great-grandfather of Noah, a lone beacon of righteousness. He has walked with God all his life, remaining pure while the world around descended into chaos. The imprisoned watchers, in their despair, turn to Enoch as a mediator. From the depths of their confinement, they beg him to plead with God on their behalf, to ask for mercy, or at least a lessening of their sentence. Compassionate but wary, Enoch agrees to carry their petition. He retreats to a secluded place, lifting his eyes to heaven in prayer, presenting the anguished plea of these fallen angels. The answer comes to Enoch in a night vision, a revelation as stark as lightning. In this dream, God's voice declares that the watchers' petition is denied. Their fate is sealed. Obediently, Enoch travels to the watchers' desolate prison to deliver the dreadful news. He stands at the mouth of their abyss, where darkness moves like a living thing, and speaks the judgment. There shall be no forgiveness. You will not ascend to heaven again, but will remain bound to the earth. You will witness the death of your sons, the giants, and find no comfort in it. And you yourselves will be confined in darkness until the end of days, when you will be cast into the fire forever. The watcher's response is a wail of despair that echoes from the black deep, a sound of broken beings fully realizing the weight of their sin. Enoch's heart aches at their sorrow, but he knows that God's decision is just and unalterable. In time, the prophesied cataclysm arrives. The windows of heaven open and the fountains of the deep burst forth. A great flood sweeps over the earth. For 40 days and nights, rain falls without mercy. Rivers overflow, oceans rise, until every hill and mountain is submerged under endless grey waters. The wicked perish, humans, and the last of the abominations alike, until only Noah's ark floats on the boundless sea. Within its wooden walls, Noah's family and the gathered beasts are safe, cocooned by providence. All else, the cities of men, the remnants of the giant clans, the traces of the Watcher's influence, is washed away as if it had never been. When at last the flood recedes, a cleansed world emerges, muddy plains under a clear sky, an earth wiped clean of the corruption that had choked it. Thus the great deluge accomplishes what heaven decreed, the erasure of the Watcher's affront. In Enoch's account, this flood is not only a punishment for human sin, but a direct response to the angels' transgressions that magnified that sin beyond repair. The canonical book of Genesis in the Torah describes the flood as God's judgment on human wickedness, briefly noting, sons of God, who took human wives, but never elaborating. The Qur'an too recounts Noah's pleas and the flood as a sign to an unrighteous people, with no mention of angelic folly. It was left to Enoch's forbidden book to unveil the hidden story behind the story, a tale of divine beings who broke the heavenly law and triggered a disaster. This mythic backstory, excluded from most sacred texts, sets the stage for the next chapter of Enoch's journey, one that will carry him beyond the realm of earth and into the wonders of the heavens themselves. Years pass, and Enoch grows old by human standards, though in his case, old is 3 centuries and more. Yet his faith has never wavered. One twilight, as he prays under a darkening sky, something miraculous occurs. A whirlwind of wind and light envelops Enoch. The very fabric of the air seems to lift him up. In an instant, he is carried above the earth. Clouds swirl around him, stars streak past. Enoch is ascending, leaving the world of dust for the realms of glory. He finds himself at the threshold of heaven. A great wall made of crystal and fire looms before him, stretching infinitely in all directions. Fear grips him, what mortal would not quail? But a gate opens in the wall, and Enoch steps through into a place no living man has seen. He enters a vast hall radiant with unearthly light. The floor beneath his feet shines like polished glass mingled with ice. Fire dances along the walls in patterns like living creatures. High above, the ceiling opens into the starry vastness of space. Lightning flashes across that sky ceiling, and in its glow Enoch glimpses winged forms, the cherubim and seraphim, flitting like sparks. At the far end of this crystal hall stands a throne of awe-inspiring beauty. It appears as crystal and flame entwined. From beneath the throne flow rivers of fire, and brilliant rainbows arc over it. Seated upon the throne is the Lord of Lords, the great glory. Enoch cannot describe the one who sits there except in metaphors: brightness beyond the sun, whiteness beyond snow, a presence so intense that even the attending angels cover their eyes. Instantly, Enoch falls to the ground, overwhelmed by the holiness. He is trembling from head to toe, face pressed to the luminous floor. Then a voice like quiet thunder addresses him. "Come, Enoch, fear not." An angel helps him to his feet, and Enoch stands before the King of Heaven. God gives Enoch a singular honor, a tour through the cosmos and the secrets of creation. Enoch is to witness these mysteries and record them for future generations, for a distant time beyond his own. Thus begins Enoch's journey through multiple heavens. With a mighty archangel as guide, he traverses realms of astonishing wonder. He is shown the storehouses of winds, where the breezes of the world are kept, and the chamber of rain and snow, ready to pour out their treasures in season. He sees the pathways of the sun and moon, learning how they rise and set with perfect timing ordained by God. The calendar of the years, the cycle of months and days, all these secrets of astronomy are unveiled to Enoch, knowledge that will help humankind keep sacred time. He beholds the countless stars, each with an angelic guardian, each following a divine law. In awe, Enoch realizes that nothing in creation is accidental. Everything has an order and purpose. He also learns the names and duties of the chief angels who govern the elements and nations, perceiving that unseen guardians uphold the world under God's command. In his travels, Enoch is also taken to the very edges of the world. He descends into a great abyss, a place of cold and gloom, a prison for the souls of the wicked and for the fallen watchers. There in the darkness he hears the sorrowful whispering of imprisoned angels. The walls of that forsaken pit are like jagged teeth, and a smoky mist fills it. These are the watchers and other great sinners awaiting judgment, his angelic guide explains. Enoch has pity, but he also understands this is the just consequence of rebellion. On a high mountain in another vision, Enoch sees a glorious tree glowing with life. He knows in his heart it is the tree of life from Eden, now transplanted in heaven until the end of days. Its fragrance is like myrrh, and its fruit like shimmering gold. The angel tells him that one day, after the final judgment, this tree will be given back to the righteous as a sign of God's mercy. Such hope-filled revelations comfort Enoch's soul. Finally, Enoch is shown a vision of the end of days, the day of judgment. The sky is filled with the armies of heaven, myriads of angels descending like a fiery storm. The trumpet of God sounds, and all who dwell on earth, great and small, are gathered. The kings and proud ones cower in terror. The long-imprisoned watchers are dragged from their abyss at last to face the supreme judge. Then the Lord himself comes with 10,000s of his holy ones. Amid this divine host, Enoch sees a majestic figure, one like a son of man, who steps forward as the chosen instrument of judgment. This heavenly one sits upon a seat of judgment and pronounces doom on the wicked. The fallen angels and corrupt humans are condemned for their deeds. Semyaza and his cohort of watchers, weeping and gnashing their teeth, are cast into a blazing abyss, their final punishment come due. Then the vision shifts, and Enoch beholds the reward of the righteous. Those people who remain faithful and humble are lifted up. He sees a new garden like Eden, where streams of water flow gently and fruit trees never wither. Joyful cries of thanksgiving fill the air. In that world to come, Enoch sees the tree of life bloom again, and its perfume fills the earth with sweetness. It is a scene of restoration, creation returned to its original glory. Enoch's apocalyptic vision is among the earliest of such revelations. Later prophets and scriptures would mirror parts of it. The biblical Daniel's dream of a human-like figure coming on the clouds. The New Testament's vivid apocalypse with trumpeting angels and a new holy city. Even the Qur'an's promise of a day when the sky is split and all souls are judged. Each of these echoes something of what Enoch saw. But Enoch beheld the whole panorama in his time, a testament to the unity of divine truth across ages. The heavenly tour complete, Enoch is gently returned to the earth, his mind brimming with divine knowledge. He shares these visions with his family and inscribes the secrets on scrolls so that someday those destined to understand will find them. Not long after, Enoch's earthly sojourn ends in mystery. One evening, he walks with God and simply vanishes. In the words of Scripture, he was not, for God took him. Enoch passes beyond this life without tasting death, drawn into God's abode forever. In later lore, it is whispered that he was transformed into a great angel, but what is certain is that he departed mortal realms in the favor of the Almighty. The Book of Enoch's own journey through history is as turbulent as the events it describes. After the flood, as civilizations rose and fell, stories of Enoch and the Watchers endured in whispered lore. By the few centuries before Jesus' time, Enoch's book was being copied and circulated among certain Jewish groups. In the desert caves of Qumran by the Dead Sea, where a trove of ancient scrolls lay hidden, fragments of Enoch's writings were found, evidence that it was cherished reading for apocalyptic-minded Jews of that Second Temple era. They saw in Enoch's visions an answer to riddles in Genesis and a promise of deliverance from evil. Yet even as some embraced the Book of Enoch, the religious authorities of mainstream Judaism grew increasingly wary of it. When the Hebrew Bible canon took shape, Enoch's book was left on the cutting room floor. The rabbis of old decided that this strange text, with its tales of angelic rebellion and its otherworldly journeys, did not belong among their sacred scriptures. Perhaps its theology was too eccentric. It spoke of angels sinning and cosmic secrets, whereas the rabbis favored scriptures focused on law, ethics, and the covenant between God and Israel. Some teachers even labeled Enoch and similar works pseudepigrapha, a falsely attributed work, arguing that such books were not truly ancient prophecies at all, but recent fabrications. To them, the idea that Enoch himself wrote a book before the flood and that it survived millennia was unbelievable. And so, the Book of Enoch was cast out of the Jewish canon and largely frowned upon in Jewish tradition thereafter. Early Christians were familiar with Enoch's narrative. The Epistle of Jude in the New Testament even quotes a prophecy from Enoch, indicating some apostles valued the book. Other Christian writings allude to its themes: angels bound in darkness, a coming judgment with holy ones at the Lord's side. However, by the 4th century, as church councils formalized the Bible's canon, the Book of Enoch was left aside. Church leaders doubted its authenticity and found its mystic speculations too unorthodox. Except for a few references by theologians like Tertullian, who initially defended it as scripture, Enoch's book gradually faded from mainstream use in Christendom. Only in one corner of the world did Enoch's book remain firmly in the light: Ethiopia. In the highlands of East Africa, the Ethiopian Church, and even the Ethiopian Jewish community known as Beta Israel, kept the Book of Enoch as part of its Bible. There, and in the traditions of Ethiopian Jews, the Book of Enoch was preserved and cherished as holy scripture. Ethiopian scribes copied it through the centuries in Ge'ez, keeping the flame alive. In the late 18th century, European explorers rediscovered the book in Ethiopia and brought it to the West. The wider world was astonished to read these lost pages. Enoch's vivid accounts of the Watchers, his use of the term Son of Man for a messianic figure, and his cosmic journey through heaven opened a new window into the mindset of ancient Judaism and early Christianity. Scholars and theologians, upon its publication, marveled at how much this outside text seemed to illuminate and even influence the canonical ones. Why, then, was this book set outside the canon? Largely because it was too bold and anomalous. Its visionary mythology didn't fit the grounded narratives that religious authorities favored. Branded heretical or at least dubious, it lingered in the shadows. Yet paradoxically, even in exile, the Book of Enoch exerted an influence. Its ideas seeped into religious thought. The notion of angelic watchers falling from grace helped shape later Jewish and Christian demonology. Its portrait of a heavenly Messiah and an imminent day of judgment prefigured aspects of New Testament theology and other apocalyptic writings. Even in Islam, Enoch's memory echoes. The Quran does not recount his tales, but it honors a prophet named Idris, widely identified with Enoch, whom God raised to a high station. And in Islamic folklore, the cautionary story of Harut and Marut, angels who faltered and taught forbidden arts to humans, faintly parallels the Watcher's saga. In these ways, Enoch's legacy survived indirectly in the scriptures and legends of the mainstream. The Book of Enoch thus lives on as a kind of beautiful outsider, much like Enoch himself, who walked with God while the world around him fell into sin. Because it was cast out of the official canon, it carries an aura of mystery and forbidden knowledge that continues to attract. Generation after generation, curious readers have sought it out, treating it as lost lore. They debate its status. Was it divinely inspired truth that was unfairly suppressed, or simply an imaginative work of ancient fiction? These controversies ensure that Enoch's voice still echoes. Far from being silenced, the book's exile gave it a legendary allure. Today it stands as a bridge between scripture and folklore, between what is accepted and what is esoteric, inviting new seekers to cross over and explore its pages. Imagine, in a silent library lit by oil lamps, an old scholar unrolling a scroll of Enoch. As his eyes travel over the faded ink, the ancient drama comes alive once more. The watchers descend, the floodwaters rise, the heavens open in judgment. In that moment, the Book of Enoch speaks across millennia. Though it was omitted from most Bibles and Torah scrolls, its words have refused to vanish. They linger like a half-forgotten song, one that, when heard, feels at once strange and familiar. What was written in the Book of Enoch? A tale of angels and demons, of visions and dreams, of a world before the flood and a world remade in justice. An investigative, mythic, poetic testament that, despite all efforts to bury it, still survives, still inspires, and still challenges those who dare to read its pages.